start to let everyone in now.
Okay.
Someone can let everyone in.
Greetings, everybody.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Welcome. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Welcome. Thank you all for joining. My name's Patrick. I'm one of the executive board members here with Indivisible Illinois, also with NWSOFA. I'm going to introduce some of the other board members as well. I'm going to pass it over to Marcy.
Hi, I'm Marcy. I'm one of the Indivisible Illinois Exec Board members. I am also on the steering committee of Champaign County Indivisible, and I live in Champaign. And by the way, while we are waiting for others to come in, if everybody could put where they're from and if they're with a group in the chat, then we can know a little bit more about you. And I'm going to turn it over to Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda, also on the Indivisible Illinois Executive Board, and I am also with leadership with Indivisible DuPage. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jeanette.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Quirk with Indivisible West Suburban Chicago. I'm on the board and also with Indivisible Chicago Alliance.
And Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie, and I'm on the exec board for Indivisible Illinois. I also am with State Line Indivisible in the Rockford area. I think I was the last one.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining. We've got a couple of brief announcements that we're going to do, and then we're going to get started with this wonderful panel of candidates. This is our first in the series for the Road to November, where we're going to meet candidates and we're going to look at practical ways that we can support these candidates to help to get out the vote as we head towards November. So I'm going to hand it over to Marcy, who's going to tell you about some of the upcoming phone banks that we have coming up.
Thank you, Patrick. Yes, we have phone banks every Sunday and every Tuesday. Right now, currently, we are phone banking for 4 different candidates. We are phone banking for Paul Nolley for Congress in the Illinois 16th District against Darren LaHood, and he's going to be on talking tonight. Jen Todd for Congress against Mary Miller in the Illinois 15. I know we really want to get Mary Miller out of there. And actually, Jen Todd, I think, is going to be on one of our candidate ones in October. Mary Catherine Roberson for State House District Illinois 104, which is the State House District I live in. I have been trying to flip this dang district since 2018. And Mary Catherine is going to be on the panel in September. And then Brenda Rogers for Kane County Clerk, and Brenda is an Indivisible leader in Elgin, and I know she's going to be on one of the panels, but I'm not quite sure which one. Anyway, so they are every Sunday from 4 to 5:30 on Zoom, and then every Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 on Zoom. And I will put links in the chat for tomorrow night's and then for next week's. These things may change a little bit because we may be having some different phone banks coming in just a little bit here, so kind of keep your ear open. Okay, back to you, Patrick.
Hey, thank you, Marcy. And I also wanted to let you all know about just some of the other upcoming events that we have coming up. So we are having additional panels as well. As we mentioned, this is the first in the Road to November. Our next panel is going to be coming up in September. It's going to be on September the 28th, which is a Monday in September. It's the last Monday of September. We're going to have a great group of candidates that will be on that panel as well. We will put the link in the chat for you all to join us for that panel that's going to be coming up in September. We hope that you can join us for that as well, to just hear from those additional candidates about how they can get involved. We also have our carpool canvassing that we're doing all across the Midwest. So our next carpool canvas, and we're going to hear more about this a little later on in the panel from some of the leaders on the ground in the area, but it's going to be on September the 26th. We're going to be going into the Illinois 16th Congressional District. We're going to Dixon. We're going to help Paul Nolley, who's running against Darren LaHood. We'll put the link to that in the chat. We also are looking at going into Michigan on October the 10th and on October the 24th into Iowa. And I know we've been planning some things around Kane County and some other areas as well that we're planning to do some carpool canvassing out to. So be on the lookout for that, as well as our Vote by mail and voter registration best practices training. So we'll have additional trainings on that coming up soon. So be on the lookout just for the dates on when you can get involved with that. So if we don't have any other announcements, I'd like to go ahead and get into the panel. As we mentioned, this is a part of the Road to November. Tonight is about more than meeting candidates and getting their names that will appear on the ballot. It's about understanding what's at stake and what we're fighting for and what each of us can do to make a difference. The Road to November is won by people who are willing to show up, register voters, knock on doors, make phone calls, educate their community, and turn people out to vote. Across Illinois and beyond, we have an opportunity to protect democracy, strengthen our communities, and elect leaders who will fight for the people that they represent. So tonight we're going to hear from some of those leaders, and we will hear how we can assist them. So our first candidate we're going to hear from is Rebecca. Rebecca is running for the DuPage Regional Superintendent of Schools. I'm going to hand it over to Rebecca.
Awesome. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you, Indivisible Illinois, for this opportunity. I am actually a member of the Indivisible Naperville leadership team. So this is a little special. It's been a special day for me, and this just adds to it. So thank you. I am Rebecca Gamboa. I'm running for DuPage County Regional Superintendent of Schools. I'm starting my 31st year as a public school teacher next week, Monday, and I teach 5th grade in Lombard, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. So when I talk about what's happening in our schools, I'm talking about it as somebody who's still in the classroom every single day, working with students, families, educators. But my experience is really beyond the classroom also. For 6 years, I was on the National Education Association Board of Directors. I served as the legislative chair. I helped to lobby every congressional office, including Rodney Davis and Mary Miller. But we did get in and talk about education. And at the same time, I was on the Illinois Education Association Board of Directors. So I've been in different leadership positions. I'm the co-president of our Lombard Education Association right now. And really one of the things I'm most proud of is that we took our union from having a very us versus them relationship with our administration to having a very collaborative relationship built on trust and respect and understanding we don't always agree, but we're responsible for solving problems together, which helped when we were in COVID negotiating a contract. That really is something that when you're not seeing eye to eye, just knowing that you're both responsible for solving the problem is something that is important. So all of those experiences have brought me to being on this call and running for office. I haven't necessarily done the traditional like administrative path, but all of these experiences have helped me to see that we need to do something. When I turned off the NEA and IEA boards, I was just going to teach and continue working with my local and then eventually retire. And then Donald Trump was reelected. And during his first administration, when there were policies that were threatening public education, and we had Betsy DeVos as the Department of Education chair, and I thought, wow, that's a really horrible choice for someone to lead public education. Little did I know. I could go to Washington, D.C., and I could sit down with leaders and I could advocate for our students. But this time I couldn't. And when I started to see the attacks on immigrants and transgender students increase and federal funding becoming less predictable and tied to just weird things, and the role of the Department of Education being dismantled and shifted to people like Robert Kennedy being in charge of special education, I couldn't sit on the sidelines, and I started looking at where I could make a difference, which brought me to the Regional Office of Education. And I want to be clear about something. The DuPage County Regional Office of Education does a good job carrying out the responsibilities that the Illinois law requires of it. Compliance, school safety, helping educators with licensure. Those things really matter. But right now, we need a regional office of education that goes way beyond that. DuPage County has 42 school districts. They're incredibly different from one another. And right now, they're all trying to navigate this federal education environment that changes from one day to the next alone. We are seeing federal investigations involving transgender policies and DEI initiatives. We're seeing challenges involving support for our migrant and undocumented students. Districts are trying to understand the federal directives, the Illinois law, how to protect students, give them a good education, and also not lose federal funding. And for a superintendent and school board trying to navigate that, I don't think the Regional Office of Education should simply forward an email or send a link to them. They need to know that someone at the county level has their back. And that's why this race is so important. I want our Regional Office of Education to become a proactive partner to our schools, not just administrators, but all stakeholders. And that means building actual relationships with our districts before there's a crisis, visiting our schools in DuPage County and being in the schools, not just when there's issues, but to talk with educators and administrators about what they're experiencing and what they need. Creating things like advisory councils. So our ROE currently has professional networks, which are really valuable, but there's no structure where those who are in the schools can regularly tell the regional office, here's what we're seeing, here's what isn't working, here's where we need help. I want to connect our local businesses and building and trade unions and community college. We have College of DuPage smack dab in the middle of DuPage County with our school districts in meaningful ways, because then our students and families are going to understand all the different career pathways that are available to them. Connecting to all of our community resources. DuPage County has a plethora of resources, and there needs to be a way to connect people to all of those. But one of the things that I think right now the regional superintendent needs to do is to be an advocate. I understand how to build coalitions, how to organize people, how to make sure decision makers hear what's actually happening inside our schools, even if it means having students write them letters about what they care about. And the regional superintendent can't control what's happening in Washington. They can't control what's happening in Springfield. It really is making sure policies are being enacted in our schools. But they can make sure that all of our 42 school districts aren't facing it individually. They can bring people together, share information, identify the problems early, advocate collectively. I think about the cell phone ban bill that's going to be going into effect. We have school districts in DuPage County that have tried it. They know what works, what doesn't work. They should be sharing that. We should have a way to share that with all the other districts. Really just making sure educators and students and families know that there's someone at the county level who's going to stand with them, because strong public schools build strong communities. We all know that. And I'm running for regional superintendent because I believe this office can play a much bigger role in making sure our schools and the people inside of them are supported through whatever is coming next. Because we all know that we can't take elections for granted. I stood this afternoon with JB Pritzker and Christian Mitchell with all of the wonderful things they've done for education in Illinois, but we know nothing is guaranteed, and that can go away in one election. So that's why I'm running, and here's how you can help. So one of the biggest challenges in this race is also a big opportunity, And that is that most voters don't even know that they vote for this or that there's this office. So, and it isn't just the general public, it is educators also. Like there's a lot of educators I talk to in DuPage County that don't know what the regional office does besides professional development or who currently is in the office. So to me, that's a visibility problem. Not just for a campaign, but for an office that should be connected to the school communities it serves. There's never really been a contested race in DuPage County. I believe I'm the first Democrat ever to run for this position. So we're not just introducing voters to me as a candidate, we're really introducing them to an office they never have thought about before and explaining why they need to vote for this. So that's part of it. And the other part is DuPage County is really big, and it's a little part of Will County. There's 11 townships and about 637,000 registered voters. So winning this race is a lot of conversations. It's going to take a lot of people, and yes, it's going to take money. The more voters we reach, the more times that we can talk about why this office matters and why having a proactive leader at the ROE is important. So the ways that people can help is number one, and I know you hear it all the time during campaign season, but donating, even small donations help us print literatures, get signs out, communicate with voters, reach people in a really large area. You can volunteer. So come walk with us, knock doors, join us at events. There's definitely going to be events coming up in the fall as campaign season ramps up now. But really the easiest way, and maybe the most important thing you can do, is talk to people about the race. If you live in DuPage County, talk to your neighbors, tell them they vote for this and that they need to vote for the entire ballot, because this is one of those on the back of the ballot, just above the judges' races. Tell parents, educators, people in line at a grocery store when the line's really long. Tell your neighbors. If you don't live in DuPage County, you probably know someone who does live in DuPage County, so let them know. Share our campaign on social media, send out information, and just help us expand the number of people who even know that this race is happening. Because when I talk to people and they find out what this office is and how it can help our public educators and our schools and our families and our students, people understand why it matters. So our challenge is just getting that message out. You can find us at Rebecca for F-O-R, not for, but F-O-R. I'm a teacher. We spell it out. Rebecca for DuPageSchools.com. Rebecca for DuPage Schools on Facebook and Instagram. And really, this is one of those races where volunteers can really make a difference. Word of mouth is going to make a difference. Every door knocked, every conversation, every shared post is going to help us reach another voter. I'd be incredibly grateful to have you help us. Thank you again, Indivisible Illinois, because things like this are getting the word out that this is a race and you have a choice. Like, that's the big thing. We're giving voters a choice. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. I remember when there were almost no Democrats on the ballot in DuPage, and just seeing, how things have shifted, where it's almost a completely blue county now. So those last few races, we'll make sure to win those and have a completely blue county. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
All right, the next speaker coming up is Maria Peterson. This is someone I've known for quite some time. Maria Peterson is running for state rep in the 52nd state rep district. She's running against Marty McLaughlin. I'm going to turn it over to Maria Peterson.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, we've known each other since 2017, so we're almost going on the 10-year mark here. So thank you everyone for being here and giving me the opportunity to introduce myself and my campaign and candidacy. So as Patrick said, I am running in the 52nd district, which covers Lake, Cook, McHenry, and Kane County. And so needless to say, it's a very gerrymandered district. It's a district that covers all income levels, from the most neediest to the billionaires, and we have mom and pop businesses to large industrial and hospital supply type of businesses. So it is the mecca of hodgepodge, if I can say that. I am running for the same reason I ran when I first met Patrick, and that out here in the northwest corner of Cook County, the southwest corner of Lake County, the northeast corner of McHenry County. The Republicans have taken it for granted that it was mostly Republican, and they would get elected without any challengers and then do nothing. So they would collect their paychecks and not give any service. And so that is not my philosophy. My philosophy is that if you're going to be elected, that's because you actually took the job seriously and you were going to be the voice, ears, and eyes of the people in the district to bring services back from Springfield. And the only way to know that is by actually going door to door, knocking on the doors, meeting voters where they're at, and listening to their concerns. So obviously during petition time, the concern was ICE, right? People were being disappeared, lives were being disrupted, families were being broken up. Every other door was pretty much their concern about ICE. Today, because ICE have gone underground, the concerns pretty much are with regard to real estate taxes. And that is one of my biggest things that I want to attack when we get into the state house, because in 2024, there was an advisory referendum on the ballot. 60% of the voters said they wanted real estate tax relief, and to date, we have yet to do something about it. And in the meantime, our representatives, and both sides do it, they offer these real estate tax appeals classes, which just actually drives me nuts, because you can get a tax break. You might get $1,000 refund check, but somebody else is going to pay that $1,000. So there really is no relief whatsoever. It's just playing the shell game. And so if we're going to attack the affordability crises head on, it has to start with our real estate taxes and our income tax, because we know our income tax is regressive. Real estate taxes are high. We need to restructure both of them so that everybody pays a fair share of taxes. So that is one of my main concerns. Of course, the environment is a huge aspect of my campaign, as well as making sure that people have affordable health care, that their utilities are affordable. I did serve as a Citizens Utility Board member, so I used to teach people how to read their bills, take them to Springfield to lobby. So none of this is unfamiliar to me. It's always been in my blood to just be a person of service and to help. I myself, like Rebecca, have been involved in our schools. I helped with one of the major referendums in the early 2000s to get passed, which helped build 3 elementary schools, add additions to our middle school and to our high school. And when I came to the Barrington area, people didn't know. They just relied on newspapers and mailers. And I was like, no, you got to do it the Chicago way. You got to get out, knock on doors, and tell people why it's important, and let them feel your energy as to the importance of this. And that's how they do it nowadays. That's how they've been doing it. And basically every referendum since then has passed. What else can I say? I'm trying to stay within my time limit because my middle guy's coming in from Minnesota with my grandchildren, so I don't want to overrun too much. I love the carpooling canvassing. I hope you're coming out to Lake County, Cook County, because we certainly need that assistance. My opponent, Marty McLaughlin, has put in $100,001, so he broke the campaign limit contributions. So we are out there every day knocking on doors. but we could use more boots on the ground. And if you can't come to the doors, we certainly would appreciate phone banking. And we also can send you out postcards. Postcards are also important too. People love that personal touch, handwritten, about why you believe in my candidacy. And of course, if you want to make a contribution, you can go to mariafor52.com. That's MARIAFOR52.com. You can learn more about my background. I am a first generation child here from immigrants who moved, my parents who moved in from Mexico, became citizens. In fact, when my mother became a citizen in the federal building, who knew that 20 years later I would be sworn into the Illinois bar in that same building? So it was a very sweet moment for both my mom and I. But that's me in a nutshell. We're fighting against MAGA Marty. He's a maggot. He stood proudly behind Kristi Noem when ICE was raiding homes during the primary. He stood proudly with Lara Trump as Lara came into Barrington Hills. He stood proudly with the My Pillow guy. He's good friends with Mary Miller's husband in Springfield, with the Eastern Bloc or the right-wing caucus, however you want to call it. So he's got to go. He's done nothing for the district. He's counting on winning for the next 2 years so he could grift and getting his pension. And let's make sure he doesn't do that because he's done nothing to earn that. So again, it's mariafor52.com. And thank you so much. I'm finishing with 29 seconds.
Thank you, Maria. And we'll definitely look at some days where we can try to get some carpools out. I know that we've got a couple big races. We've got you and we've got Nabila and a couple of other big races in that area. So definitely it's an area that we are keeping an eye on.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And with that, I'm going to say good night. And I wish everyone, every candidate here, good luck for the win in November.
All right. Our next candidate is Paul Nolley. Paul Nolley is running out in the Illinois 16th Congressional District. It's our best chance for a pickup of a congressional race, and we all know how important Congress is this cycle. We absolutely have to take back the House and the Senate, and this is really one of our best shots here in Illinois. So we're going to hand it over to Paul Nolley.
Hey, thank you, Patrick. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Paul Nolley. I am the Democratic nominee for Illinois 16th Congressional District, challenging a MAGA Republican. He's an entrenched MAGA Republican. It is the most flippable U.S. House seat that we have in Illinois. And just real quick about myself, I've spent the last 15 years as a leader working for various community organizations, just really helping, working people, parents, seniors, children, in home ownership, literacy, mentorship, just disaster response, all sorts of good stuff. And now I run an organization where I help young people get into apprenticeship programs and help diversify the union apprenticeship programs. My wife is a special education teacher at a local public high school, and she helps kids with disabilities. We actually met in high school, and really just built careers together that are just serving our community, trying to help people get kind of a hand up so they can have some financial stability and, hopefully live a decent life, which of course is harder and harder these days. We're raising 2 little kids now, basically right down the road from where she and I met and both grew up. And that's the reason I'm running for Congress. I am incredibly worried about their future and the type of country, the type of world, really, that they and the next generation more broadly are going to inherit. Although this is my first time ever running for office, I did become politically engaged over about 20 years ago now, and I was 15 years old. The Iraq War was in its early days, and I joined the national movement against the Iraq War. My grandfather was drafted into Vietnam. My mother was born while he was over there. And his service and fighting in that war had a major impact on our whole family for generations. And so when I was a teenager and I started to understand the world a little bit more, I kind of, just committed myself to fighting for causes that support ordinary people, pushing back against, really what I see as a political class that sends working class people and middle class people to war. It rigs this political and economic system that we have now, which is worse than it ever has in modern American history. And they do that to serve the few, the people who are in power, the people who buy our politicians and our elections, all of that, and really to the detriment of the ordinary person, the average person, the people that make our country run. So I am running for Congress now. Over the last 16 months, we've been standing up this campaign in the type of district that you often hear like these talking heads and even like Democratic leaders talking about all the time, especially over the last, 10 years, let's say. Working class areas, rural areas, the places that Democrats have, abandoned over the years. And again, over a year plus, we have put in this work, and I really consider that what we've built a real movement across the 21 counties, northern to central Illinois. And I think, for Democrats, progressive, critical thinking independents, even a good number of Republicans, we need to be able to go in these type of districts, and we need to be able to win. And it's not just about like winning in this race or this district or one election. If we want to change this country and actually make progress and bring people in and give people hope that the government can work for them and change their lives in a material way, we have to be able to win in districts like this. And that means we have to put in the work. And that's exactly what we're doing. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it does mean that it is worth fighting for. And this is the type of campaign I would encourage anyone who's interested to come and support us. We're doing it the right way, grassroots funded, no corporate PAC, no APAC, nothing like that. And just on my opponent, he has a 100% voting record with Trump. He was his re-election co-chair. He's backed every single terrible policy that you can think of, this war in Iran, the Medicaid cuts, on and on and on. And he's one of the most well-funded members of Congress that we have in all of Congress, Democrat or Republican. But he can be beat. He absolutely can. He's weak. He's a weak person. He's a weak leader. He's afraid of his own people. He hasn't had a town hall in nine years. And this is the first real challenge he's ever had in his entire political career, even when he was in the state house. So he is exactly what's wrong with the system, what's wrong with Congress right now and people in power. And if you talk to people that know him, colleagues, personal friends, it's really depressing and it's really sad, but it is what it is, because he actually tells people, I don't like Trump and I don't like what's going on, yet he supports it every step of the way because that's what keeps him in power. It's really despicable. He does nothing about it, even though he knows and he's got kids. So, the thing I've been asking, and I'll just kind of end and wrap up with this, but I've been asking people these days because I think these type of things are so important and everyone's kind of freaked out right now. I know I am, and I'm sure many people are, but, we talk to Republicans as well. And I just kind of put it like this, do you ever feel like, in the last year or so, a few years, things are slipping out of your control? It's, of course, harder to afford the basics. It's difficult to have conversations with like your neighbors, your friends, family members about the things that are so important to actually getting our country back on track. Our kids, our grandkids' attention is just being pulled just relentlessly in all these different directions. We have artificial intelligence. It's making it hard to understand what's real, what's not, what's coming for our jobs, what jobs are going to be, sustainable, and that our precious taxpayer dollars are being used to fund these endless wars, tax cuts for billionaires, this expanded surveillance network that we have, this police state that's coming in. Instead of making investments in our public school systems, in healthcare, making sure healthcare is available and a human right to everyone, our infrastructure, all of that. So that's something that people that transcend the political spectrum are fearful of and they're worried about, and they answer yes. And so, this political class that we have right now is so far removed from having any of those concerns, because it doesn't matter what happens. They'll get on their private jets, they'll go to wherever the hell they want to. It's not going to impact them regardless of what happens, because they have the power, they have the money, and they're using it to gain even more control of this political and economic system. So, our voices matter, and this is the time to step up, because I am truly fearful if we do not step up now, we are going to lose our country, and it's going to be so far gone that it's going to take even more drastic actions than, spending all this time away from my kids and all the type of things someone like me to go in and fight in a race like this. It's going to be real serious stuff. So, I hope that you all, could get behind this race. We have great polling. We have hundreds of of volunteers. We have unprecedented support from labor and fundraising and all the things that we need to stand up a real congressional campaign. But we need even more help because, again, we are taking on one of the most entrenched, well-funded incumbents in all of Congress. So we need boots on the ground. We need people power, and that's what we're trying to raise. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I would love to get your support going forward in the next 79, 80 days that we have here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. And I know we've got a day of action planned statewide where we're planning to come out into 16th District. We're going out into Dixon. So we're going to hear about that a little later on from Candace and Sarah Bigeman, who are going to talk a little bit about just kind of the carpool canvassing that we have into your district.
Awesome. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. All right. We're going to go on to our next candidate, who is running for state senate. Sarah Mertens is running for state senate in the 35th Senate District. So I'm going to hand it over to Sarah.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, I just got interrupted by my daughter. First, thank you so much. Like you said, I'm running for state senate, District 35. I am a licensed educator in McHenry County. My district spans a bit of Winnebago County, Boone County, McHenry County, Kane County, and DeKalb County. And I am running against Dave Severson. He is currently the longest serving state senator in Illinois. He was first elected in 1992 when I was 3 years old. And the last time that he was challenged by a Democrat was in 2010, coming up on 16 years ago. So I've spent my adult life in service to the community. I've been in schools. I've taught martial arts, self-defense seminars. I've been an ESL teacher, and I grew up in Illinois, but I spent 6 years in Austin, Texas after college, and we moved there for my husband's work. And that's where I had both of my kids. So they were both born in Austin, and I did not think that I took for granted the rights that we have here in Illinois, but I can say with certainty after having lived in Austin, Texas, that I did. The workers' rights are nothing like in Illinois, collective bargaining and women's reproductive rights, even before Roe v. Wade had been repealed. In Austin, having 2 kids there, I had to advocate for my care every step of the way. And that was with a healthcare team that saw me as a person. They were very progressive minded, but with that backdrop of Texas conservatism, they did things differently. So I came back to Illinois in 2021, and I found out very quickly that my local representation is 2 Republicans who have been in office for a while. The state rep, not quite as long as 34 years, but getting up there now. And I realized last fall that I had an opportunity to serve the community in a way that would go beyond what I'm able to do working in the schools and as volunteering locally, especially since he's not been challenged in 16 years. So I decided to run for office to help protect our rights here in Illinois because I've been seeing the backslide of rights across the country. And I know that the rights that we have here in Illinois they're not enshrined. They can be struck down and changed by just the representation swinging here. And I want to change that. I want to see the rights that we have added into our Illinois state constitution. I want to see rights expanded. I want to see an equal rights amendment here in Illinois. I want to see progress. And Dave Severson has been voting against that progress and sowing seeds of conservatism and hate for the 34 years that he's been in office. And I'm not willing to stand by and accept that anymore. And I'm glad that a lot of people, not just in Illinois, but across the country, we're seeing a wave of people doing that. And the reason why this is the year to take down this Republican who normally goes unopposed is we're seeing this huge blue wave come through. And the area that I live in is more rural than many in Illinois. But we're looking to take full advantage of that momentum that we have. And if there was a year to challenge and take this guy out of office, this is the year that we need to do it and we need to act on it. So what the support that I'm needing, like Paul Nolley had said, is more people helping. This is the first time that I've ever run for anything, so I've been learning a lot throughout this whole process. And I need people to come out and help knock doors. I need people to help organize meet and greets and fundraisers. I need help with making sure my website is updated, and just the fatigue of the whole campaign. It's been the most insane 10 months of my life, stepping into this and keeping the energy going. And I need people to help me with those things, because learning it all on the go has been great. But I want to make sure that I get to the end and I get to November 3rd and then beyond, with the fighting energy still there. And I'm hoping that together we can do that. So. You can check me out on my socials are all Sarah Mertens, the number 4IL35, and that's on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. My website is citizensforsarahmertens.com, and you can see on my name tag here, it's all E's in the last name. So Mertens.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, thank you.
All right. I do want to go back and circle back to a couple of the board members to talk about just some of the upcoming events that we have coming up and some of our committees. So I'm going to hand it over to Linda now to kind of talk about, just some of the things that are happening around our committees.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. So I have the admin committee, which sounds just like it does, a lot of back office stuff. So if anybody really likes to work behind the scenes, that's the perfect committee for you. Also have the outreach committee. And I will say that one of the main things that we're going to focus on, and I think before the end, I think I have a sign up I can share. But one of the things we're going to focus on is trying to recruit volunteers. So, we all as groups send out a bunch of information. We have events listed in our newsletters, we put it on social media, etc. But we also, the most effective to try to get people out there to help in whatever way they can is to reach out to them and say, hey, how can you help? Here's some things we have going on. So that's the main focus right now of that outreach committee. So those are the two that I'm involved with. But again, all of it is focused on how do we get everybody elected in November.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Jeanette to talk a little bit about, just some of the other things that are happening, with our partnership with the ICA and some of the other groups.
Okay. Need to go off mute. Excuse me. I think it's allergies. Maybe now that the sun's coming out, things are going to get a little better, but feeling a little hoarse. ICA, Indivisible Chicago Alliance, there are opportunities. Pretty soon it will be every week. Right now it's every other week for phone banking into Wisconsin, the Wisconsin 3rd District in the southwest part of the state. It's been super interesting calling into there. It's very rural. We're using right now using the ground truth approach, where it's very open-ended. And it's pretty cool to hear what some of these undecided people are saying, as well as the people that are share our values. So that is super worthwhile, and that's going to be running all the way to the election. We'll also be continue calling into Michigan. I know there's a lot of excitement in Michigan. Right now, it is a ground truth style again, and as what happens with most phone banks, you'll get into specific candidates depending on who's running the phone bank closer to the election in terms of those Wisconsin and Michigan ones. So if you're not on the Indivisible Chicago Alliance email list, we can get you on there and see these opportunities because we could use volunteers just like everybody else.
Great. I'm going to hand it over to Melanie. I know Melanie's been doing a lot of great work out in the 16th Congressional District.
I'm not sure if I was fully prepared for that, Patrick. Yeah, no, we've been doing a lot of great things out in the 16th. Am I supposed to, is it okay if I talk about what we've been doing for Paul's campaign?
Absolutely.
Awesome, good. Yeah, so I have been volunteering a lot and I see so many familiar names on here, but we are doing a ton of door knocking and a ton of phone calls for Paul's campaign as well as other candidates in the area. So we'd love for you guys to join us. I did share the link to volunteer for us here in the 16th, which by the way, you know, such a big district, there's probably some part of the 16th that's close to you if you have any interest in helping us out. It, I don't know, covers a huge portion of Illinois here. So I'm not sure if I had anything more specific than that, Patrick.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. And
Thank you.
Marcy, we'll save yourself and me for a little bit later on. We'll talk a little bit in depth about, ways that folks can get involved to help directly with a lot of these candidates and some of the work that we're doing. But I do see our next candidate who is on, Erica Bray Parker. So I'm going to hand it over to Linda, who's going to introduce Erica.
Never try to do two things at once. I was going to put something in the chat. Anyway, so Erica is running for the state rep District 47. I've known Erica for a long time, and the one thing I can say about her is she is devoted to the community. I mean, she has that's her life. That's what she's about. So can't wait to hear from her. She's running against Amy Grant, who's been in that position, I think, for a while. So this is one where we definitely need help. So Erica, it's all to you.
Thank you so much, Linda. You guys can hear me okay? Great, wonderful. So I really appreciate your patience tonight. So yes, my name is Erica Bray Parker. I'm running for House District 47, which is out here in DuPage County. And again, I thank you for your patience. I currently serve on the Wheaton City Council. So I live in Wheaton and I serve on the Wheaton City Council, and we had a city council meeting tonight. And typically they don't take long, but we had the joy of swearing in some new police officers and honoring some youth female girls basketball teams. So that stretched it out a little bit. And so now I stopped at my library on the way home to take the Zoom call. So a little bit about the district. So House District 47 is currently Amy Grant serves as the representative. I announced a year ago that I was going to run for this position, and she actually chose to retire. So she is retiring. So my opponent is actually a businessman up in Carroll Stream, running as a Republican. He has openly supported Donald Trump in the past, so that's what I'm up against. House District 47 it's Wheaton, it's Carroll Stream, it's Winfield, it's Warrenville, and a little bit of Naperville, and some Lisle and some Bartlett along the way. But it was designed as a red district when it was redrawn. So we do have an uphill battle. We have an amazing volunteer team. I do want to just thank so many of you on the call tonight. I got my start, and Linda had mentioned that we've known each other for some time now. I was one of the original Indivisible DuPage leaders. We had it running. It's just been amazing. It's been so amazing. So I've known a lot of you. We've done a lot of great work. We've done a lot of great protests. I've been involved in, flipping the 6th Congressional District, and now we have Delia Ramirez as our representative, our congressional representative. So a lot of great work, a lot of knocking doors. I've been on the Wheaton City Council for 7 years now, so I've run twice in the city of Wheaton. But for the last year, we have been knocking doors. And when I say we have had a major volunteer team coming out, knocking doors, writing postcards, all the stuff. So we're very excited. And I do have, Tommy is on this call. Tommy Layden is my campaign manager. So he's been on the call. He's sort of holding my spot in case I didn't make it. But my story is, he just put his information in the chat, so please reach out. I've been a social studies teacher for 33 years, taught mostly government and politics. I was all about civics. I taught up in Carroll Stream at Glenbard North. I brought in all kinds of people. We even had Peter Roscom in back in the day, because that's who our representative was. And I taught my students that you should meet your representative. They should listen to you, because the first 3 words in the Constitution are "we the people," and that's what it starts with. So, but we also had we had Delia Ramirez, we had Raja Krishnamurthy, we had great. Some of you in the area might know like Greg Schwarzy, Jim Zay, so a lot of different people in my classroom. Last May, I retired. So I'm retired. You guys could cheers for that. Woo! Thank you. But this is what I'm doing now in my retirement. I know all of us on this call are just sick to death of what's happening at the national level. And I want to go to Springfield to protect us from the national chaos and cruelty. Right? We need to protect our people in Illinois. I would love to be able to protect all the people in the United States. But right now, what I'm working on is protecting our people in Illinois and giving them a voice down in Springfield. Some of my major issues I'd like to work on, above giving us all a very important voice. I'm hearing a lot of cost of living, affordability issues, which will come in incremental solutions. Affordable housing, we've worked towards that in Wheaton. We have some new apartments that we've approved. We've also approved a lot of, we have veterans homes that we're building soon too. So I'm very proud of the work I've done in Wheaton. Also environmental sustainability. I have the endorsement of the Sierra Club. Women's issues, women's rights, protecting a women's right to choose. And just women's rights to have reproductive health. I will go to Springfield to protect those rights. Public schools, strong public schools. I had the honor of being at an endorsement event today for J.B. Pritzker as our governor, who's strengthening our public schools. We do not want voucher programs in this state. Voucher programs take money away from public entities. I say at the doors, in Illinois, we have school choice. Parents can make lots of choices. Parents have lots of input on the curriculum, and I encourage that. But we need to keep our public schools strong, and we need to support them because they are the great opportunity maker for our kids and our communities, because our kids are our future community leaders. So that is about the extent of me. You can go to my website, and I think Tommy's, if he hasn't already, is going to put that in the chat. Erica4il47.com. It's ERICA, because you can't spell America without Erica. Just throw that in there. So it's ERICA4il47.com. And everything's there. You can get to my email. You can get to all my social media. I've even done TikToks. You can go laugh at me on TikTok. So you can get to my social media. You can get to my email. You can find out events. You can get to a donor page, because flipping a district is not cheap. So I would just encourage you all, if you have some time to write postcards, log on to my social media. You can, I'm just amazed at every like and share, how that just picks up my viewership. It's amazing. The analytics are amazing. So I thank you for your time. And also, again, I thank you for your patience. And I want to thank everybody on this call for all the work that they're doing. We're all doing so much. We're all doing a lot. We need to take a break and have a little mental health help, and then mental health break. But then we all, we go back out there and we do the work we need to do. So thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Erica. All right. I'm going to hand it over to Marcy to talk about some of the ways that we're supporting many of the candidates and increasing votes across the state, across the Midwest, with some of our phone banks. Marcy.
Thank you, Patrick. Yes, we are phone banking for several candidates that are in Illinois. And by the way, in Champaign County, we are canvassing, knocking doors every Saturday and Sunday for 3 hours. So just an FYI, we don't have a lot of local races that are contested right now, but there are a couple, and one of them is for the Illinois 104, which we are phone banking for the Democratic candidate as one of our phone banks, and that is Mary Catherine Roberson. For those of you who live around Champaign County or Vermilion County and know Mary Catherine, she is awesome. So I'm just going to tout her. She is going to be speaking on the September candidates call. So just an FYI, she is really, really awesome. She is actually one of Robin Kelly's legislative aides at this point in time. So anyway, going back to phone banks. Yes, every Sunday and Tuesday we are phone banking. Currently we are doing 4 Illinois candidates, and they're always Sunday from 4 to 5:30 and Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 on Zoom. And it's Paul Nolley for Congress for District 16. So you guys all heard him speak. If you're interested in phone banking for him, his are included. Jen Todd, who is running for Congressional District 15 against Mary Miller. You know how we want Mary Miller out. And by the way, a piece of Champaign County is in her district. And not only is it in her district, a piece of it that's also in her district is also in her husband's state rep district. Chris Miller, Muhammad is, and so they're double Millered. Think of that. So anyway, Jen Todd will be speaking in October. As far as that goes, but we're also phone banking for her. Mary Catherine Roberson, as I said, is running for State House District Illinois 104. That is my State House district. I have been, as I mentioned earlier today, I have been trying to flip that district since 2018, and this time we are going to do it because Mary Catherine is an awesome candidate, and the person who ran 2 years ago, Jarrett Clem, and as a Democrat, he got with less than 300 votes in between him and the current state rep in the Ill 104, which is a Republican. Anyway, Brenda Rogers is running for Kane County Clerk. We're also phone banking for her. She is one of the Indivisible leaders in Elgin. So, and she is also going to be speaking on either in September or October. I'm not sure which one. Do you know which one Brenda's going to be speaking on, Patrick?
September.
Okay, so you can hear Brenda in September too. So anyway, so if you could please phone bank for these people, they're awesome. Eventually, we are going to be we're going to have some different phone banks also, and just that's still in the works. So kind of hold on, and wait for announcements on those. But for the time being, these are the 4 we're phone banking for. I will put links in the chat for tomorrow's phone bank, and then also for next week's Sunday and Tuesday phone banks. Okay, back to you, Patrick.
All right, I'm going to talk with you all about some of the canvassing that we have coming up, some of these carpool canvasses that we've mentioned. I know our next big statewide day of action is coming up in September, so I'm actually going to hand it over to Sarah Bigeman as well as Candace. I don't believe Candace is on, but Sarah, are you there? Could you talk a little bit about kind of the big day of action that we have going into the 16th Congressional District?
My heart is beating because I am so excited that so many of you are going to come and help us get Paul Nolley elected. You got to hear him. You know what a great candidate he is. Our particular Indivisible group, this is the 4th congressional race that we have really worked hard on. We lost the first 3. But we're going to win this one. Just like Marcy said, we've been at this for a long time. We kind of have learned many, many things. And this time we have a great candidate who is really, he is not just a great candidate, but he has a great team. And he is willing to go from one end of the district to the other. So we're very excited that you guys are willing to come out and help us ring doorbells. It's very pleasant, really. We will give you some nice places to go visit. And then once you have spent an hour and a half or 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, ringing doorbells on that day, we invite you to do some of the fun things that we have in this area to do. Of course, you can go out to Nachusa Grasslands and see the bison. You can, we have a brand new walking trail and bridge that goes across the Rock River, and we will have a list of things that you might want to do after you've made the trek to come out here and see this area. We have 3 state parks within easy driving distance of Dixon. So there's lots to do, and we hope it will be a beautiful day, and you'll meet some interesting people and have a lot of fun. So we're very, very excited that you're coming. And yeah, am I the only one talking about this?
I don't think Candace is on. I know that there
Okay.
is a canvassing location in Evanston. So if you're near
Okay.
the Evanston area, you can meet there. We're working on a few additional places across the state as well, where folks will be able to meet. You'll be able to drive with other people out to that location. We'll probably have one in DuPage, maybe in the northwest suburbs, and a couple of other areas across the state as well. So stay tuned for that. You know, if you would just like to ride with someone else, there will be plenty of places all across the state where you'll be able to meet and head on down to Dixon, and it's going to be a fun time. And it's fairly close for many of us in various parts of the state. So just be on the lookout for
I'm just going to,
and
one more little plug is that it is quite easy to get here. We are right off of I-88. So if you're in the Chicago area, it's a very pleasant drive. You just high tolls, but you just hop on I-88 and come straight out to Dixon, Illinois. So
Hey, can I just mention one thing about, it's also really awesome to go and hang out with Sarah Bingaman. So just an FYI. So Sarah,
okay,
Sarah and
come
I,
on out. I'll be there.
Sarah
Absolutely
and
true.
I together co-led the Indivisible Rural Illinois group for 2.5 years. So I can tell you, Sarah is awesome, and she's awesome to hang out with.
Okay, well, come on. You've set the bar pretty high, but we're looking forward to having you come and work with us.
I don't see Candace on, but I do see Jacqueline on. Jacqueline, would you like to say anything about the location from Evanston? Maybe not, but
Oh, here,
Yes,
she
I'm
couldn't
sorry.
unmute.
Yes, yes. I tried on you earlier and I couldn't. Yeah, no, we're getting a group together from Indivisible Evanston. The location, we haven't quite determined. It depends on how many people are interested. There's a sign up link in our recent newsletter, and it'll be in our newsletter every week between now and the time we go on September 26th. We're going to meet up at 7:30 with the goal of getting out there by 10 o'clock. And we reached out to Sarah a couple of years ago to try to develop a relationship with a blue dot in a red area. And we had a great time. Sarah hosted us. We went to see the bison. It's a beautiful part of our state. And I encourage you all to sign up with us or Indivisible Illinois, and hope to see you there.
we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun day, and we're going to do something fun for folks after the canvas as well. So really looking forward to that. Please do join us. It's going to be a fun time. We also have canvases planned for Michigan. We're going to be going out into Michigan in October. We also are going to be going into Iowa in October. So we know those are 2 very, very key races. We have a Senate race that's up in Michigan that is very winnable for us. We need to win that Senate seat in order to take back the Senate. It is a must-win for us. We also have a few congressional races that are happening in Michigan, so we're going to be going out there. I know there's a lot of interest around what's happening in Michigan. We also are going to be going into Iowa. Iowa is in play this time. If you look at just the data and the polling and things that are coming out of Iowa, there's a gubernatorial candidate that has a strong opportunity to win 2 congressional seats as well. that we could potentially win. So we are planning to head on out into Iowa. So stay tuned for more details on that and how you can join us there. And also join us in some of these local areas as well. We're going to be going around Illinois into a few other places to do some canvassing as well, with just some fun carpools where, here in Illinois, we have a tradition of really just having these carpool canvasses back to the Obama days when we used to send people out to Iowa and to Wisconsin and to Michigan and all of the Midwestern states. That's exactly what we're going to be doing this cycle, is sending people out to these states. We do want to respect, the local races. So we're having, a few days of action, not to pull too many volunteers away from local races, but we know we can have a big impact in these races. One of the races out in Iowa went to a recount. It was lost by 0.05% last cycle, and that same candidate's running again. So we know with that little bit of an extra push, we didn't really go into Iowa last cycle. We spent a lot of time in Wisconsin and Michigan, but we want to spend some time in Iowa to push a little extra to push that candidate across the finish line. We know we can pick up some good victories in Iowa this cycle. So we'll be on the lookout for those events. We also have a few additional voter registration and vote by mail best practice trainings that are going to be coming up. So be on the lookout for that. Many of you have been able to attend some of these ones that we've had in the past of just what are some of the most effective ways to register voters, and more importantly, what are some of the most effective ways to get people signed up for vote by mail. Vote by mail is really our superpower here in Illinois. We have a permanent vote by mail list where people receive a ballot for every election, and it's very convenient for people. People are busy with their day-to-day lives and with work and other things. If they work, far away from their polling location, it becomes difficult for them to actually vote on election day. But if they're able to just mail in their ballot, it just makes things much easier, especially for working families, younger families, or those that may not be mobile. So we definitely want to try to get them signed up for the vote by mail list to increase that voter turnout, not only in this cycle, but we're thinking about those municipal and other cycles that are coming up where people that reflect our values really don't get out to vote. It will be much easier to get them out to vote if we just call them and remind them that there's an election and just to send in their ballot. So be on the lookout for those trainings that are coming up very, very soon, and we'll have more details on that. So what we really want to do now is we want to just kind of have a Q&A with the board. If there are questions that you have for us, just kind of with the board, anything that you want to bring up, anything that you want to know about how you can get involved with any of these campaigns, feel free to, ask us those questions. We're going to go ahead and